It's time to test some Dinosaur.
Good afternoon, Jank enthusiasts. I'm MBT, and this is 10-Minute Testing. If you can't be bothered to watch update videos or read community posts, firstly, congratulations on having either a life or a copy of Animal Crossing, and secondly, I'm now doing this full time. If you've ever been on the fence about subscribing or following on Twitch, I'd really appreciate it. Today we're fulfilling an obligation to the winner of the first Yu-Gi-Oh! Quarantine series and taking Giant Skyhawk's novel attempt at an Overraptor deck out for a spin in a post-Slayers metagame. Presenting Dinosaur. So here's the list, and oh, shocked to see trap cards, are we? I'm not surprised. You all lack the intel the gents to play anything other than combo. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course, the card by card. But first, this video is sponsored by Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck. Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck is an online strategy site for our mutual favorite card game. It's got a deck builder, card database, and a wealth of strategy articles. It's also where I post the Quarantine Series deck breakdowns, so give it a look at www.ygoprodeck.com. Now let's dingle with dinos. Dinosaur's a deck that's been edging the how about on the edge of metagame relevance since the release of Dino Smasher's Fury and Soul Eating Overraptor. The advantage engine of Overraptor, Miscellaneousaurus, and Baby Ceresaurus has been so effective that individuals have been stealing games from competent decks with these cards on everything from YCS live streams to McDonald's trays. While the unlimiting of True King Lithogasm has undoubtedly increased the playmaking potential for the ever-popular True King variant, I'm here today to make a pitch for a deck that uses Soul Eating Overraptor as an advantage engine, not a combo starter, and wields Ultimate Conductor Tyranno like an equalizer, not necessarily a win condition. This is the variant of Dinosaur with which Giant Skyhawk won the first Yu-Gi-Oh! Quarantine series, and he's not the only one seeing results. As True King Dino fades into obscurity in the wake of Adamancipator's coronation ceremony as the best combo deck, there's a strong argument for a consistent, advantage-focused archetype with the ability to close games fast, play Solemn, and main deck Nibiru all at the same time. There are more than a few interesting interactions in this list, but the cutest has to be using Lost World to replace the destruction of Nibiru's token. So with that, let's get into the card by card. First, our dinos. 3 Soul Eating Overraptor, 3 Miscellaneousaurus, 2 Baby Ceresaurus, and 1 Petit Pteranodon, followed by 2 Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. For 1-ofs, we're on 1 Earth True King, which occasionally just wins the game versus extra deck-focused strategies, 1 Pankratops, 1 Dagoran, and 1 Giant Rex. Finally, we're on the Meteor for thematic reasons. For spells, we're on 3 Lost World, 1 Diagram, a Mystic Mine, a Terraforming, a Set Rotation, followed by 3 Fossil Dig and 3 Pot of Extravagance. We're also on 1 Foolish Burial Goods to send to Survival's End, 3 Infip, and 3 Judgment. The extra is a greedy extravagance board made up of Lagia, Dolka, Tornado, Exciton, Abyss Dweller, Dugaris, Phoenix, and Pensatag. So with that, let's jump into the games. Our first match is up against Mechanite. This is the deck that eventually cost Skyhawk the second Yu-Gi-Oh! Quarantine series, but for what it's worth, the build was definitely different. We're going first, and this hand showcases the power of the True King cards. We'll lead with a copy of Terraforming for a Dragonic Diagram, which we will activate destroying the Petit Pteranodon for a copy of True King Lithogasm. We'll special summon an Overraptor from deck and activate its effect to send a copy of Giant Rex to the graveyard, followed up with the Miscellaneousaurus, banishing the Giant Rex and summoning it to our side of the field alongside a copy of Baby Ceresaurus. We'll tag the source for a Petit Pteranodon to get a Miscellaneousaurus from deck before going into Lithosagam and removing 3 cards from our opponent's extra. We'll end on a copy of Dolka, a Pankratops, and a defense position True King. We'll pass it back to our opponent, who will lead with a copy of Upstart Goblin. Next, they'll set a card and go into Purple Nightfall. They'll proceed to the battle phase, we'll target the Purple Nightfall, they'll activate the Purple Nightfall, and we'll negate it with Dolka. It goes to the graveyard, and we are set up to win next turn. Our opponent specials a Green Horizon and passes it back to us. For turn, we draw Solemn Judgment. We'll lead with the Miscellaneousaurus effect in graveyard to get a Soul Eating Overraptor from our deck. We'll special this copy of Giant Rex, and our opponent will flip a Secrets, negating the effect of our Overraptor. No matter, this Giant Rex is going to be huge. We will go to battle phase, attacking with Giant Rex, prompting the purple removal. We're going to activate Infinite Impermanence, because Dolka unfortunately is in the same column as Green. We'll attack Green with Dolka, and then directly with Overraptor and our True King. In main phase 2, we'll go into Tornado Dragon so we can pop our opponent's remaining trap card, clearing up zones for any Mechanite summons. They draw for turn and concede. Our second match is up against Adamancipator, and in a parallel to the previous game, this one showcases the power of Lost World openings. What's more, this Adamancipator deck is not necessarily up to snuff. Folks, if you've been considering Koakai and eggs, let this game be a grim reminder as to why you just say no. We'll lead with a Lost World and a Fossil Dig before normal summoning an Overraptor and chain blocking its effect by the effect of Lost World. We'll give our opponent a token and send a copy of Miscellaneousaurus to graveyard before activating Overraptor's effect and replacing the destruction with a Baby Ceresaurus, which turns into a Giant Rex. Next, we'll activate Miscellaneousaurus for 2 and a Petit Pteranodon before overlaying for a Dolka, activating Foolish Burial Goods, setting 1, and resolving the effect of Petite for a Pankratops. Things are looking quite good. Our opponent will lead with a normal summoned Rap type before specialing a Seeker, activating Seeker's effect, and walking headfirst into an onboard trick. Well, in main phase 1, they'll summon a copy of Masquerena and then pass back to us. Things are looking quite good. We're going to normal summon a copy of Baby Ceresaurus to give our opponent a token, and then Survivals and our monster, so that we can go ahead and send the baby to graveyard for a Soul Eating Oviraptor, whose effect we will use. We'll get a copy of Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, and then we'll activate Miscellaneousaurus for 4, so we can trigger the effect of Giant Rex and make Link material for Pensatag. We'll special Ultimate Conductor Tyranno and attack for a ton of piercing damage, making lethal trivially. So it's time for game 3, and you know what that means, a best of 3 versus meta. Our opponent's playing True Draco Eldlich, and if you gave me 1,000 years to come up with a more cursed sentence than that one, I think the only improvement I could add would be putting, "and we've got 2 Nibiru in our opener," at the end of the phrase. Let's see how this one turns out. Our opponent's going to lead with a copy of Pot of Extravagance, fancy that, followed by an activation of Cursed Eldland to get a copy of Forever to hand, an activation of Black Eldlixir to get a copy of Eldlich to their side of the field, and 3 sets. For turn, we draw a copy of Fossil Dig. Okay, that's good. We'll activate it, and then we'll activate the effect of Miscellaneousaurus, which immediately gets Haketot. After that, we're going to normal summon a copy of Soul Eating Oviraptor and activate its effect to get a copy of Pankratops to hand, who we will summon. We'll go to battle phase, and our opponent will activate Conquistador. We'll chain Pankratops so the Eldlich goes to the graveyard and they aren't able to destroy any of our cards, but the writing's kind of on the wall as we proceed to end phase. Our opponent draws another Black Eldlixir. They're going to activate Cursed Eldland and then activate Eldlich's effect in graveyard. I am begging you, just summon 4 more times. Instead, they pass it back to us, and at end step, activate the effect of both Conquistador and Haketot. They are under no pressure. For turn, we draw a copy of Lost World. That's pretty good. We'll activate Lost World, and it eats a golden land forever. Fine. They're going to White Destiny their monster back. We'll activate Oviraptor's effect to get ourselves a copy of Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, special him, and proceed to battle phase. We are getting somewhere in terms of damage. Our opponents had a meager 3,600 life points. For turn, they draw... Oh god, that's going to be fantastic. They destroy their copy of True Draco Apocalypse with Eldlich's effect, and we chain Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, so we at least get something for it. They're going to Heritage for 1, and they find the Dynamite Knight. Are you kidding me? They're going to black into a copy of Eldlixir, then they're going to summon Dynamite Knight, attack over my copy of Soul Eating Oviraptor, and unfortunately, all of this took less than 5 summons. For turn, we draw a copy of Survival's End. Yeah, our survival has ended. So it's time for game 2, and... well, okay. This hand is at the very least better than the last one. I don't like seeing 2 Survivals End in the opener, but I much prefer it to 2 Nibiru. This Pot of Extravagance is going to have to do some heavy lifting. Let's see what we find off the top. Oh, that might do it. Okay, we'll activate Fossil Dig, then we'll activate Set Rotation, giving our Draco opponent Dragonic Diagram in order to get a Lost World so we can chain block our effect of Oviraptor, giving our opponent a token, and sending a Giant Rex to the graveyard. We'll replace it with a copy of Baby Ceresaurus from deck, going into a Miscellaneousaurus, and an Abyss Dweller, a shockingly powerful card against this archetype. We'll activate Abyss Dweller so we can get that Miscellaneousaurus in the graveyard, go for a Petite Pteranodon, special back the Giant Rex, set 2 cards, and resolve it for a Pankratops. Okay, we could do this. Our opponent's going to lead with a copy of Pot of Extravagance. Fine, we're going to chain the effect of Abyss Dweller. Afterwards, we're going to activate Dragonic Diagram, and we are forced to use removal on the card we gave them. They'll tribute the token... oh god, for this copy of Dynamite Knight before passing it back to us. Well, we could do this. We'll switch our monster to attack position and proceed to battle. They will tribute in response, going into an Ignis and destroying our monster, all according to plan. We'll activate Miscellaneousaurus afterwards, so we have 4 cards in graveyard to banish for a Soul Eating Oviraptor, and I think we actually have the OTK. We just got to get rid of that Apocalypse so they can't have our monsters attack in the battle phase. We're going to activate Soul Eating Oviraptor, and we're going to activate Lost World. Next, we're going to special summon a copy of Giant Rex from the banished zone before flipping up a Survival's End and replacing with Lost World for a copy of Baby Ceresaurus and a Miscellaneousaurus. We're going to Survival's End again for that trap, going to UTC, going to Pensatag, and... oh my god, are you kidding me? Well, at the very least, our monster isn't affected, so we can wipe our opponent's board, but Nibiru coming down at such a critical moment. We had this in the bag! Alright, our opponent draws into Extravagance off the top. So it goes, so it goes. We will Survival's End our monster in response to the Eldlich activation, and they'll activate Conquistador at end step. We seem to be mostly out of this game, but maybe we can engineer a scenario where we win with Mystic Mine. We're going to activate Miscellaneousaurus for 4. They're going to Golden Land forever. Oh boy, and Survival's End for Oviraptor is going to have to get us there. We're going to trigger Lost World to give our opponent a token, and then we're going to add a copy of Ultimate Conductor Tyranno to the hand. We're going to Survival's End our Oviraptor, so we have material in graveyard so we can actually summon the Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, but that's basically every dinosaur remaining in our deck. They're going to go for Scarlet Sanguine in order to set a copy of Conquistador, then summon Eldlich. Thankfully, it can't get over my Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, but I bet that copy of Conquistador can. We're going to go to battle phase and attack our opponent's monster. They're going to Conquistador. We're going to lose our copy of Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, and all of our hopes are now in on this Mystic Mine. A very bad place to be for an aggro deck, especially with an Eldlixir in our opponent's graveyard, which they banish for a copy of Conquistador. Well, in turn, they'll activate Conquistador, destroy our copy of mine, and for turn, they'll draw a copy of Terraforming. That's going to be it for us. They activate Dragonic Diagram to get a copy of Heritage. They'll tribute it for Ignis Heat, and go to battle phase, dealing 27, 25, 25, and finally, lethal. So we're back with the deck, and yuck, this is pretty bad news. Let's do the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1. It's excellent at what it does. It's trivial to set up turn 1 Dolka and Pankratops with minimal investment, and that's usually enough to beat any deck looking to resolve monster effects. The traps are just icing. 2. It has an exceptionally easy time OTKing. One of the issues with most modern control decks is they lack the ability to turn the corner until their opponent has had several chances to pop off. This deck demands an immediate combo or rewards you with an embarrassing death. And 3, I cannot believe the Nibiru lines. The fact that you can plus from survivals ending the token is about the most hilarious follow-up currently legal. Imagine activating Nibiru and then telling your opponent it's about to get worse. And the cons. 1, and this is the killer, it's got a bad Eldlich matchup. This deck seems to flourish in formats where monster effects are at a premium, but Eldlich has the resources to avoid death by anything but the most cheesy Dugaris OTKs, and the resources to outgrind this mid-range strategy. 2, hands without Overraptor access are rough. You can usually get there by the second turn, but it's much harder to survive without a Dolka or OTK insurance in the form of Tyranno. And 3, a lot of the things that make this deck good, Nibiru, Lost World's targeting protection, all seem to rely on a monster-centric format. As more people tune and migrate to control decks, it might spell extinction for our Jurassic pals. All in all, it's an extremely powerful deck in the right hands, and if it can overcome a miserable Eldlich matchup, it's very well positioned in the upcoming metagame. Unfortunately, that's a position that it shares with about 8 other decks. So that's that. Thanks to my patrons, Meet Moto27, Tyler Slacks, Miko Reichman, Crispy, Sir Tachyon, Lucas Hansen, Schnappy, Lavender Lemonade, Gusto Secon, Siberian Rabbit, Michael Oskvark, Dan the Man Hoban, Blab, Lake Root, Standards Objective, Jeff Leonard, Emperor Stove, TJ Steakhouse, Pro Yugi Dad, Picnic Blasted, Burrito Man 93, Fighting Fang Wong, Donnie Fillerup, Adam Sunquist, Isaac Jackson, Second, Lucas Geardas, Adam Trevino, Adrian Broad, Distrin, and others. If you like my videos, please consider subscribing, and if you want to be part of the process, consider following me on Twitch as well. See you next time.